Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dies Cast. I'm Russell S.A.N, and with me I have...
Fishman.
When last we left off, Aquans Jonas had just left Vyrn's run, heading out along the south gate, back out into the wilderness, where they were met with several travelers and numerous forms of wildlife that were already at work in the surrounding countryside, reminding them that they had spent a considerable amount of time in a civilized village and that now they were back out in the wilds.
Civilized, sure.
Well, as they traveled along the road, they decided to take it relatively leisurely because for the first time since they left the plateau, they realized they had no necessary deadlines at the moment.
Yep.
And they were allowed to take things a bit more leisurely and enjoy their travel. They encountered a variety of things, ranging from a griffin, some hooded traveling woman who attempted to charm them, some sort of trapdoor spider / cricket creature which did charm Jonas.
Yep.
And two trolls that had apparently taken a number of carpenters as slaves in order to build them their own bridge and potentially use as a food source later. We never found out.
Don't forget the kids.
Oh, yes, and a few adorable children who are now fabulously rich.
Yeah.
The trolls, however, were the main event for the day. Two trolls is a relatively large threat for our two. They're still relatively young and lacking in experienced wizards. So they had to think quickly in order to get across a rushing river, which there was no bridge for.
Yep.
Fortunately, they were able to knock one of the trolls into the river and off a waterfall leading down into the ravine, which they had to cross previously in order to reach Vyrn's run. The other, in frustration, attempted to avenge its cohort and possibly just add two more slaves to its group / larder. However, Aquans was able to jump midway across and then misty step the rest of the way to get to the other side of the bridge. And after some difficulty, helped Jonas secure a rope and attempted to help him get across as well. Unfortunately, the dice weren't in their favor, and Jonas went over the waterfall. Feather falling to safety, he managed to climb back up on the right side and rescue the slaves. But not before, with use of a fog cloud spell, Aquans was able to force the troll to fall into the river off the waterfall and wash up downstream. This one, however, was still alive, unlike the first.
Yeah.
That's basically where we ended last time. We marched ahead a few extra hours just to put some more distance between us and the troll.
Yeah. In case it wanted a midnight snack.
Yes, or revenge again.
Yep.
Okay. So that's basically where we're going to pick up in the early morning.
Yep.
Because we just finished a long rest.
Yeah.
So this is day 5 of our travel from Vyrn's run. In point of fact, though, it is only the 4th day of our travels because we did take a day off during the last session just to rest.
I'm sure we're going to take a few of those.
Yeah. Like we said, we don't have as much of a necessity to be anywhere as quickly this time around.
And we do need to catch up on some research.
Yes.
Fortunately, that first troll is drunk. That really did help.
Yes, it is. So, as we come to, the first thing that we need to do is I would like you to roll a d20 for us.
18.
18.
Unless there's
right.
modifiers.
No modifiers now. All right, 18. Right. So we wake up in the morning. It is clear skies, and the sun is very bright, like a little too bright at the moment. In all honesty.
I have my broad brimmed hat. I'm fine.
Yeah. I have my hood. We're still fine, but it's just like, yep, this is a nice, pleasant day for the moment. Nothing really untoward happening at the moment.
Well, then let's have some breakfast.
So we sit down and have our breakfast. We've prepared our spells for the day.
Yes, already done.
Yep. And we have a largely undisturbed breakfast for the moment.
Cool. And let's eat and then head on our way.
All right. So just for clarification,
Oh,
we're about here.
we are right about there.
Yeah, we're just past the bridge.
Yep.
So knowing that, it's probably going to take us the majority of the day to get along this road.
Yep.
Towards where we're going towards, which is the next bridge.
Yes.
There.
Heading south.
Yes. All right. I would like you to roll a perception check.
Because we're out in the middle of nowhere now, and I don't really care if people see my owl, I'm going to keep her out.
Okay.
Because she does add to my ability to perceive.
Yep, you can do this at advantage.
Not that roll would say that. 13 is the highest.
13. Okay. So it takes for a moment when you're listening, and your owl does pick something up, but it's more sound than sight. And you notice in the distance, towards the west,
Okay.
from where we're currently we've been traveling about an hour at this point.
Yeah, so somewhere over here by these
farms. Oh no, further away. You hear the sound from further in the distance.
Oh, much further away.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And through your owl's eyes, you can see something circling.
Okay. I'm going to have her fly up about 100 feet.
Okay.
And I'm going to look through her eyes in that direction. What do I see?
You see a familiar shape circling.
Familiar.
It has broad wings, and from this distance, it's hard to tell things, but it looks kind of serpentine in shape. But you remember from that in that direction, we did encounter a flying drake of some sort before.
That was quite.
That was quite some time ago, but it still seems to be in that region. And
okay.
And I need you to make a stealth check for your owl.
Well, how far away is this?
Well, it's basically just circling over the tree line there.
Over here?
Yeah.
Okay. That is a long way away.
Yeah, you can do it at advantage.
I don't think I'm going to need to. The first one was 18 without modifiers, so that's a 21.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the better of the two numbers.
So 21 is the total. Okay.
Yeah. That is a long way off.
All right. I'm going to have you roll again.
Okay.
Just for simplicity's sake. You still have advantage, though.
So far, it's the exact same number, 21.
Okay.
Oh, and then a nat 20, so 23.
It was rolling well, despite the distance.
That is a long way off.
Yeah.
That's almost a week's travel from when we were walking. Well, actually, not quite that bad. Oh,
yes, but it rolled an 18 on the first roll.
Yeah.
And then rolled a 17. So it basically tied your owl for the first roll. So I just had it roll again. Because it's like, roll again.
Yeah, sure.
And for the tie. All right. You don't think it notices your owl, which is, considering it's at least a few miles away.
Oh, yeah. More than that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you do see it, and you do remember that drake, and you're thinking, oh yeah, just another reminder of the various predators that inhabit this world with us. And
well, if we were to go off our beaten track, if we could cross the ravine at this point,
yeah,
that is going to be a few days travel for us.
Yes. Less so for a creature that can fly, though.
Yeah. I remember, well, my owl flew from the plateau to Vyrn's Run in 3 hours.
Yes.
So it's.
You do not remember this drake too well. You remember it was able to fly quite quickly, but you don't remember how fast in comparison to your owl.
Yeah, it tended to avoid us when we were at the fort, if I remember right.
You scared it away with an illusion, if I remember correctly.
Yeah? Oh, okay.
But anyway, that's just you're just looking there like, yep, this is a definite reminder of the fact that there are a variety of creatures in the wilderness here, and some of them might see us as an easy meal. But it doesn't seem to have noticed us at the moment.
Their mistake.
So
I'm gonna have my owl come back down to more normal heights.
Yep.
And we'll head on. I'll tell you all about it though.
Okay, yep.
Our Drake friend is still over there by the fort. Ish.
It's moved a little bit off from there. You might have scared it away from its usual hunting grounds for all you know. Or maybe because it was circling, maybe it's looking for some other food.
Or it just the Drake.
True. There's no guarantee saying it's the same one, but it reminds you of the one that we encountered there.
Yeah, it was an awful long way off. So all right, south we go.
South we go. All right. I am going to ask for. Sorry?
Unless, of course, you want to hike all the way over there.
We can't. There's a ravine that we do not have any real way of crossing.
We're a bit better at that now than we were.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I have no desire to go hunt down a drake.
Neither do I. But I thought I'd ask.
Okay. All right. Please roll a survival check with advantage just to see how the general travel is going to go.
All right.
This isn't fairly high, but still, something gonna happen.
Well, I have survival.
You do.
That's wisdom based?
Yes.
So that'll be 16.
16. It's very good, considering the DC was for something to go wrong is probably about 10.
Well, we are on a road.
All right.
Well, road.
Yep. So as we start going by, so we travel ahead for about 4 hours. We've been traveling for about 5 hours on foot by this point.
Yep.
And this is where the road comes to a fork.
Yes,
you can see it on the map there.
Yes.
Right, so that's where we are at the moment.
Okay, according to our map, there's a farm/village to our west. Do we care?
Well, the first thing you notice is there is no signpost at this fork, which is a little unusual. Usually when there's well-traveled roads, there's a sign pointing one way saying what's in that direction, and one pointing the other way saying what's in that direction. But it is not the case here.
I'm going to have a look around where I would suspect there should be a signpost to see if one has been removed.
All right. Roll perception or investigation, your choice, with my assistance.
I'm going with investigation because I have that.
Yeah.
That would be a 22.
All right. Well, just as we search the ground there where we think the signpost would be, we do indeed find a bit of a broken shaft of wood sticking out of the earth.
Okay.
So there was a sign here, probably until quite recently, and you remember back to the storm that we had basically this week, and you're like, yeah, that probably would have caused a fair bit of damage even this far down.
Do I notice it off in the bush or the ditch or whatever?
The sign itself is not present. Just the remains of where it would have been was.
I'm gonna examine where it was broken, see if any tools were used.
Okay. That will be a separate check.
Separate investigation check?
We'll just call it investigation for lack of a better term, yeah. You're investigating, so that's fine.
Yeah, I'll just roll once.
Yeah.
15.
15, all right. It is not a clean break, so you're fairly certain that no tools were used. This wasn't cut. This has been snapped with considerable force.
Like possibly by a troll?
Could have been done by a troll. It could have been done by an exceptionally strong wind or something else.
Okay.
We have encountered 2 trolls up to this point.
Yeah.
So it's entirely possible.
I'm going to check on the ground to just we have the road ahead straight ahead, the ones that we're going to follow
Yes.
normally. I want to just travel along the fork for maybe like 100 feet. And I want to check for tracks.
All right, you can. That'll be. I'm going to stay at this part of the fork, just to keep an eye on things from the distance.
Yeah.
Roll survival to see if you can find. Actually, your choice of survival or perception to look for tracks.
I have survival. That's a natural one.
Natural one. Well, from that roll, you can determine that you don't see any real tracks along this road at all.
Yeah. Well, that was.
That in itself does strike you as odd, though, that there are no, you don't see any real tracks. Apart from the ones you were leaving behind, obviously.
I come back to you and say, there doesn't seem to be any tracks here at all.
All
right.
We could have your owl fly over that direction again.
Yeah, like I said, I kind of got a bee in my bonnet over this, so I'm going to have my owl fly relatively low, just under the treetops, head along that road.
All right, so under the tree, so just under the treetops. Okay, so that's about on average somewhere between 15 to 20 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
I'll say 15 feet because that's the average height of trees around here.
Yep. And I'm going to sit on the side of the road, close my eyes, and I'm going to focus through her eyes. And
all right.
We'll see what we see.
Roll perception at advantage.
Natural 20.
Natural 20. Well, it beats the natural 1.
Yeah.
That you rolled before, and now you can see that there were indeed tracks in this direction, but they are very old.
Okay.
Which probably does basically add to the reason probably you couldn't see them, in addition to the 1.
But this, according to our map, which I know is not that accurate, but we did pay money for this thing.
Yep.
There's supposedly farms down that way.
Yes. So as your owl flies along, just building off the natural 20, you do see farmland, which looks like it's not in the best of care at the moment.
Okay, well, my instructions were to fly down to the farm, circle once, and come back.
Okay. So owl flies down and circles once and sees a relatively destroyed farmstead. This is not just a single farm, but there's basically 3 farms that form a almost small community for all those purposes. Yeah. Probably 3 farming families who got on quite well with one another here until very recently. But the damage is quite severe. These buildings look like they've been burned down. Okay. And they are wrecks of their former self. And from that natural 20 roll, you do not see that this is probably likely been caused by this storm. This looks intentional.
Do I see any movement?
None. And that's what Owl sees as she circles and it comes flying back.
Yep. All right. I will pop her out of existence.
Yep.
Stand up. How far of a walk is it to that farm from here?
From this section of the road, it is about half an hour walk, which means going there and back, plus we'll add an hour to our journey, plus however long it takes us to search the place.
All right. I think it's worth it. I want to go see what happened there.
Okay.
So we'll hike down that road, head towards that burned out farm area.
All right, we head down that way.
Yep.
All right, so it takes us...
Also keeping my ears very open, because obviously at this point in my mind I'm thinking that this may have been caused.
Yeah.
And the cause may not have gone away yet.
Just based off of like I said, with the natural 20, you're certain this was not accidental or by natural means. Something or someone did this.
All right. So anything from ravening trolls to some cult gone bad.
All right. So you're keeping your ears open as we walk along, so I will ask for a perception check with advantage because I'm obviously paying attention as well, and you still might have your owl out.
Is Alice out?
Not at the moment.
Oh, that's a bad roll. 10.
Okay. You hear the chirp of birds and animals scurrying through the undergrowth. That's about it.
That's a good sign. I
Yep.
don't mind that.
Yep.
I'm gonna head on.
All right, we head on. All right, so like I said, it takes about half an hour to reach the where the gate, basically, well, not really gate, fence to this small farming community would have been.
Can you get Alice out because she's better at scent-based things than we are?
I will summon Alice.
Yeah.
She'll be right by my side for this.
And maybe she can pick up something that we're gonna miss.
And these are 3 barns and 3 basically adjacent households,
Yeah.
all of which look like they've been burned down and are shells of their former selves.
All right.
So you want Alice to see if she can smell anything then?
Well, yeah, and then I want to do probably survival, I think, to see how long ago this happened.
Okay, I'll roll Alice's perception check with advantage. You roll survival check.
Oh, the natural ones are back.
Natural 1, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to tell.
For that, yeah,
Based on what's left. All right, Alice rolled an 18 with advantage. All right. So Alice starts sniffing around and she starts heading towards one of the burnt out buildings, basically.
All right.
You can't tell anything from that survival check, unfortunately.
Yeah, what a surprise.
So I assume we're following her.
Yep.
Right. So we follow my cat as she sniffs around low to the ground and just swinging her tail back.
Yep.
So she's taking us to what basically looks like the central. Basically, there's 3 farms, and they almost form like an equilateral triangle, loosely.
Yeah.
Like the points of it. Well, the one that would be the center point furthest away from the road is the one we're being led towards.
Okay.
It looks somewhat like it might have been somewhat larger.
Yeah.
And the barn looks, again, somewhat like it might be a bit larger, more well built. So may have been whoever was in charge of this small community. If it had someone in charge, you don't know. But that's the building we're going towards.
Okay. And no activity still, right?
We don't see anything.
Okay.
We go up to the door of the house. She starts sniffing, and then she starts sniffing towards the barn, and starts basically doing the thing that cats do, which paws at the door when she wants it open.
All right.
Yeah, the door is scorched, but relatively still well intact.
Okay.
So
what about the rest of the building?
the barn, this barn looks like it's been burned like everything else.
Yeah.
But it is what looks like it was more sound than all the others, and that's basically all you can tell about it. So it's a little bit.
No breach in the wall I can just look through. I have to actually open the door then.
There are various holes in the wall, and the roof is caved in.
Yeah.
But it's basically you could try to. There's a small section of wall you could try to climb over if you want to get in without opening the door.
I just want to go around to an opening, either a window or like a hole in the wall, and have a look in that way.
Alice keeps pawing at the door as we move around. But
you can open the door for her if you like.
All right, so we follow you for the moment as you go around to the side of the wall. Yeah, there's a gap, which is you just basically in the wall. You just look over. It's about 6 feet, so you have to stand on your toes a little bit to look over.
Yep.
And this is definitely the wreck of a barn where animals would have been kept and food would have been stored, hay would have been there, all sorts of things. And the roof has collapsed in. You could climb over this with a check if you want.
No,
if you want to actually look inside.
I just want to look at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. Alice comes running around, sees that where you've spotted the section of the wall, and jumps up and then goes into the barn.
Okay.
And she starts sniffing around and kind of starts pawing again at the basically some of the debris.
Okay. What does she see in there? What's got her attention?
She's found a strange smell that she doesn't exactly understand, but she's Yeah, she's basically trying to tell me she smells something unusual, and it's underneath some of this debris.
Okay. Go in her head for a second. See if you recognize the smell.
All right. It's too faint, I say, for me.
All right. Back to the door.
Well, okay.
Does this door look sound enough that if I tried to open it, the whole place isn't going to collapse or anything?
The arch of the door looks pretty sound. The doors may fall in, you don't know.
All
Or
right.
come off.
I will attempt to open the door.
All right.
Do I need a roll for this?
No. Okay. It creaks and you hear the joints kind of and you hear timbers shift, but the door is sound enough. You're able to open it. So we have one door open, and it's basically ajar. We can go in if you want.
What do I see from the doorway?
We see more of what we saw from just looking over the wall there. The roof has collapsed in and is covering the majority of the center of it.
Yep.
Some of the stalls are also still intact. Others have been smashed completely. There's stuff scattered everywhere, and there's very clear that this building was burnt out, basically.
Any dead animals?
There are a few skeletons of the basically charred skeletons of livestock in here.
Okay.
Based on the size, they would have either been cows or horses. You're not sure.
You know nature. Have a look. What died in here?
That is cocked. All right, nature 16. This is, well, these I point to the three corpses out here. I believe are two horses and a cow.
Okay.
Also, that I point at, and I said, and I think Alice is pawing at that, and you can just see a hand, a humanoid hand. Humanoid. Well, it's basically, it's got 5 fingers.
Yeah.
It's again charred black to the bone, and it's just sticking out of the debris. And that's one of the things that Alice is pawing at.
All right, I'm going to go over to it and examine the charred remains of someone's hand or something's hand.
Are we trying to shift this rubble at all?
Initially, I just want to have a look at the hand.
All right. You can roll a medicine check then if you want to determine anything about this.
12.
12. Okay. It is the hand of a humanoid, adult, male, you think, and definitely burned to. It was definitely badly burned, possibly before or after the roof caved in, killing whoever this was.
So, can't get the species.
Humanoid's the best you can tell from that roll.
All right, so I'm going to take my staff and try and pry up some of the fallen timbers that are on this.
Roll a strength check with my assistance, because I will help you. Unfortunately, it is strength.
Well, no modifiers on this at all, so that would be an 11.
Okay. There's no time crunch here, but it takes a while.
Yeah.
So basically, we take about 5 minutes to clear the rubble from this section, just this section of the barn that we're exploring at the moment.
Yep.
Which includes shifting debris, which then suddenly shifts once we move sections of it out of the way, because, again, the roof caved in, so lots of sections fell on top of other sections.
Yep.
But it takes a little while, and we finally exhume, basically, at about 10 feet into this barn further.
Okay.
And there are many bodies here.
So, last stand was in this barn then?
Basically, there are. If you look around, count them. Looks like close to probably 3 families worth in a farm that would have lived in these farmhouses.
So they all took refuge here and got burned out.
As a, or were placed here and then were.
Oh, there's that too.
Burning building.
All right, I want to examine them medically to see what. I know they burned, but I want to see if they died also because of other things, like possibly they were stabbed or whatever, shot. And then I want to see if this is a natural fire, so I want to check for Arcana on top of that.
Okay. Well, how about just to divide this up, then? Just to divide this up, you roll the medical side of this, and I'll roll the arcane aspect of this.
Okay. My medical examination is a 22.
22. Okay. Well, just because this seems relatively of note and interest, I rolled a natural 20 for my portent this morning. If we want to really find out what's going on here, I'll use that here. This seems relatively significant.
Yeah.
So it's a total of 28. All right. So we'll cover your switch. You said it was a 22?
You just wanted to beat my 22.
No, I just was like, this seems relatively important. Let's actually use that.
All right.
So you rolled a 22.
Yes.
All right. You're able to accurately determine that from that these are all humanoids. Exact the species or race is a little difficult to tell based on what's left. There are male and female adults, and there are male and female children.
Joy.
From among them. They all definitely are very badly burned, and they all have broken bones as well from when the roof caved in.
Yeah.
Between smoke inhalation, being crushed by the roof falling, and then being burned, you're not entirely sure what would have been the leading cause of death.
Yeah,
and any sorry?
I didn't see any trauma on them that could not be explained by all this.
No stab wounds, no arrow wounds, nothing else.
All right.
As I'm just pointing around, it says it's difficult to tell based on how everything has been damaged, but there's a specific area where there's a definite where the scorch marks all started and when the fire started burning out from.
Yep.
And I think it forms a perfect sphere, I say.
Well, I've cast a few fireballs.
Yes, I'm
Does this remind
fairly
me of
certain
that?
that's what caused this. And as we go around looking at some other buildings, and it says, some of these were also caused with fireballs. Were started with the fireballs, apparently, and a few other spells I might recognize as well. Someone decided to use a lot of fire magic to torch this place.
But why? That's the question. I'm gonna have Alice. I'm gonna have my owl do a little fly around up high enough to get a reasonable bird's eye view, and just gonna circle there about 100 feet up so she can tell me if there's anything moving, anything that strikes her fancy, and she can notify me.
All right.
While we step around and have a
you can roll a perception check with advantage for her.
12.
12, okay. She doesn't notice anything else out of the ordinary. There's no real movement apart from some field mice going by just about their business in the now slightly overgrown fields.
Oh, keep her mind on her work. No time for a snack.
So what are we doing while she was doing that?
Gonna just go. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I think this is something that happened long enough ago because everything was cold, right? There's no embers left.
There's no embers left now. This has been at least a few days, you suspect.
So this is a done deal. Actually, there's one more question I want to ask. We recently had a lot of rain. So
yes.
If this was something that happened before the rain, there should be a fair amount of ash that has been washed around a bit by all that downpour. I wanted to examine to see if that's the case, or if this happened after that massive storm and rain, and things seem relatively where they should be from a fire.
All right. Roll one more investigation check with advantage because I'm going to help you with this.
Well, I love investigation. 25.
25 is quite good. All right. As you're looking around, it takes us a little while because there's been rain, there's been snow, there's been strong winds, but we do find some ash that looks like it has been shifted by rain or by winds, possibly.
Yeah.
So, based on that theory, you think you're probably onto something here, that this probably was before the storm happened.
This is a 26. Not that it matters, but yeah.
No. But with that information, that means this was before the Coordinate 7 Expeditionary Force made it to Vyrn's Run.
Well, it's not like I want to blame absolutely everything in the universe that goes bad on them.
Yeah, they also were coming from the opposite direction.
Yeah. So it is definitely worth noting, though, that this has happened.
And word does not seem to have reached Vyrn's Run. This is the other thing.
Yeah, but that bridge got washed out because of the storm. So I think a lot of the things that are to the south of that bridge probably just haven't been able to get through yet. But yeah.
All right. There's, unless you want to start shifting through these partly collapsed, heavily burned buildings. There's
No,
what we can do here.
I really don't. Nothing we can do here.
Yep.
It's a done deal. Now, what time of day is it now?
All right. So we basically are approaching almost 6 hours from when we first woke up.
So we're getting a little into
The afternoon now. We're getting close. The evening's still a few hours off.
Yeah.
And sunset's a few hours off, but still, we've been going for quite some time.
Yeah, I think we're probably. Well, there's nowhere here that I want to stay. Yeah. In our little hike from the road, did I see anything that looked nice? A little side spot that we can set up camp. Because the nice thing about this area is it is off the main road.
Yeah.
So.
Well, there are copse of trees off in the distance. There's both large fields set up, which are a little overgrown if you want to make a camp near one of them.
I'd rather have some tree cover.
Okay.
I mean, that wyvern might hunt at night. I don't know. So, just no point in taking chances.
All right.
So, survival check?
Yes, if you want to look for a campsite here.
Yep. That'll be a 21.
Okay. We have to travel a little bit away from the actual farmstead community area because most of the copse of trees are away from that.
Yep.
Or we are able to find a nice little spot where we can set up a campsite if you really want to at this point.
Yeah, well, I want to do some thinking, and also we have some research to do. So,
there's no point from that point, basically, it is still a little early for bed because it is basically we've been going about 6 hours at this point after you find the spot. So it's about 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah, that's fine. Just gonna have a late lunch, early supper. And I want to sit down, do some reading, and do some more research, and I have a spell I want to work on.
All right.
That sort of stuff.
So we gather kindling for our campfire.
Yep.
We have an evening meal.
Yep.
And you want to roll for your spell because this is indeed day 5. So
we're past that nat 20 now?
Yes, that has basically got you through the first 4 days of your spell research. So this is going to be for the final 2 days you need to put in for this check.
All right. I am going to cast Enhanced Ability.
Okay, I assume on Intelligence.
Give my brain a boost. And this is an Arcana check, right?
It is, yes.
23.
23 is more than enough.
Yeah.
All right. So as you're putting all your remaining ideas for your spell together, you see the way through, and you are able to finish the final hurdle for your putting your spell together. You still have to spend the next 2 days working on it, but now you understand how this can be done, and in 2 days' time, a day and a half, really, at this point, you'll have your new spell finished.
I really want to try it out.
Yep. All right. For my part for this evening, I'm going to work a little bit on my transcribing project.
Oh, yes, the rewrite.
I'm going to just
Yeah, about 60 some odd hours still to go.
64 hours. I'm going to do a roll here to see if I can get more than just the normal 4 in here. We'll see.
All right. That'd be a constitution check, I guess. See if you don't tire yourself out too much.
Yeah. Okay, that's a 10.
Plus.
No, that's sorry, 6 plus 4.
Oh, well,
So,
that is the check for exhaustion, isn't it?
yes, but because I just beat that, I'm going to say that no, I only get the 4 hours of transcribing done. After which point
Yeah.
I'm starting to feel a little tired. So I get no extra done, but I don't get any less done either.
You don't have a point of exhaustion.
The point of exhaustion would go away once we had a rest, so that's fine.
Yeah. All right.
All right, so 4 hours are going to go by for that. So this brings us to 7, which is dark. Yes, we have to rekindle the fire, reset it up for the evening. Are we going to set up our campsite?
Yeah, I mean, I assume during all this,
Yes.
while I rank supper, we did all that.
Sorry, I should have been more clear. Are we going to get ready for bed now? Do our bedroom routine?
No, I'm going to sit by the fire for a while because, I want to do some thinking about this because I think there's definitely someone out there with the capability of casting fireball because I recognize fireball because I fireball lots of things.
Yes.
They're running around.
In fact, for the most part, there's one person in the world who definitely cannot cast it, and that's me.
Yeah, so I want to get some thinking about that. So I'm gonna poke the fire.
Okay. While you're doing that, I am going to cast alarm just to set up for when we're ready for bed.
Yeah, because the hut only lasts for 8 hours.
So does alarm.
Yeah, so there's no point in setting it up right now because we'd be kicked out of it like in the middle of the night.
All right. So, what are you actually trying to do here?
I just gave me some thought because I know sorcerers, and I hate to blame everything in the world on sorcerers, can cast fireball.
Yes.
I know
We've
wizards.
not seen one yet, but you've seen them cast similar spells to us.
Yes. And I want to think about whether or not warlocks can. I don't know if they can because I've never seen them do so.
All right. You can roll an Arcana check. This will be a slightly higher DC than normal, but you still get to roll it.
Well, I haven't burned any luck today, so I think I will now because this thing is kind of important. All right, I'm gonna burn some more luck. And the last point of luck. God.
I distinctly remember you saying at some point that you want to avoid doing this going forward.
Yes, I know, but we're going to go to bed soon. So
it was a relatively uneventful day. Yes.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I did not need to use any of it for my spell. So 19.
All right, with a 19. So you're thinking about sorcerers can indeed cast fireball. We'll start there.
Yeah.
It's one of the. It's as much as a core spell to sorcerers as it is to wizards.
Yeah, I kind of figured that one.
Yeah. Warlocks do not normally have access to fireball. However, based on that roll, you are able to determine that there's a pact that warlock can make, particularly with archfiends and other devilish or demonic entities of and through that they can gain the ability to cast fireball as one of their spells. You do know that warlocks tend to not be able to cast spells as regularly as other spellcasters do.
Yeah, and how many fireballs did I count when the houses?
I did the counting for that, and I counted 3.
So I could do that.
Yes.
A warlock couldn't.
Not unless they were high level.
Yeah, very high level. But a sorcerer could, relatively similar to us.
Yeah. And there were other fire spells in there too, I pointed out.
Yeah, someone very much a pyromaniac did that. Or psychotic.
So just going off of my earlier roll, I can point out to where I see something similar to Burning Hands, which you can cast.
Yeah.
And other more pinpoint accurate blasts of fire, which I point out is similar to Scorching Ray, you suspect.
Okay.
Yes. Someone used a lot of fire spells to kill these people for whatever reason.
There's no reason for that. That's just pure psychosis. So anyway, after those disturbing thoughts,
Yep.
I will do my 10-minute ritual.
Yep.
And
I finished the alarm spell.
get the hut out and go to bed.
All right. So, our familiars are probably going to be on watch. Are we setting a watch for this evening?
I don't want to get lax here. So yes.
Okay. Then going off of the alternating who's on first, you're up first this evening.
All right. I probably should have gone to bed. 9.
All right. You're able to stay on watch and keep everything. You don't fall asleep, but the events that occurred not too far from here, not too long ago, continue to dwell in your mind, and your mind does wander towards that a fair bit. However, nothing happens on your watch, fortunately.
All right, then I'm going to go to sleep.
All right, so you wake me up.
Yep.
All right, let's see if anything happens on mine. All right. Well, I have a 12, so somewhat better. All right. You are woken in the middle of the night. Not by me.
What woke me up?
Well, you hear the sound of a roar and the flap of leaden wings overhead.
The wyvern.
Which just you hear it. It's loud enough to wake you from your sleep, and you're startled. You're looking around. You expect something to happen, and just looking up, we both see it fly overhead.
Heading which way?
Well, basically, mostly east, but somewhat south as well.
Heading towards the river.
So it's almost heading, almost parallel to the path we're going to have to take to get to that bridge.
Okay.
But that's it. It flies overhead, and it wakes you from your sleep. And I assume you go back to sleep. Yeah, because nothing else seems to be happening at the moment.
It's not going to get through the hut.
No.
So.
It didn't even recognize what the hut was.
No.
So.
Okay.
But that
I'll
does
go back to bed.
That does wake you from your sleep, and that's the only eventful thing that happens on watch.
All right.
All right. So we wake up.
Yeah.
If you want, you can prepare new spells. I'm going to roll 2 new appointments.
No, I'm fine with what I have.
Okay.
Well, nothing happened, so. I mean, the wyvern. I mean, I have some combat spells, so if it comes up, it comes up.
Closer now.
We
know it's closer now.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I think we should probably forego a fire for breakfast.
Yeah.
I know eating cold is annoying, especially in the morning, but we don't really want to attract the attention of the wyvern.
Well, the first thing for the matter of the day is I'm going to roll this d20 and see if anything.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the first thing that might want to change your mind about the fire, this might prevent it, is there's heavy rainfall this morning. And I do mean heavy rainfall. It is pouring, which is the first thing we notice when the hut vanishes. And you get a face full of water, basically.
Well, I'm going to spend 10 minutes, recast the hut.
All right, so we spend 10 minutes in how we have the hut. You can't leave the hut.
No. I am going to eat my breakfast without having water drip down the back of my neck.
We can technically set a fire inside the hut.
Yeah, I know.
So we can you can warm up by the fire and we can cook a meal if you want.
Yeah, the wyvern wants to attack the hut.
Do not forget to mark off food for yesterday.
Yes, 1 full day's worth of food is gone.
Where did I put my? Where did I? There it is. All right. So we have our breakfast in the warm hut.
Yep.
After which point the fire will probably have burned out.
Yeah. I'm gonna take my time eating.
Yeah.
Is it still pouring rain when I'm done?
I am going to roll a die now to determine how long the rain is going to last for.
All right.
It's still raining. It shows no sign of letting up at the moment.
Well, you remember earlier we were saying that we're in no rush.
Oh, we're great adventurers if a little rain slows us down.
Well, I was planning on doing a little extra research today anyway. I think this is the perfect day to
Stay in the hut and
light a candle, do some research.
all right. So this is the final day for you to finish up your research on your spell.
Yeah.
So despite the fact you made the roll, you do have to spend the day, the remaining amount of time for the day doing that.
Yeah.
So that is what you're doing for this day.
Why not? It's a terrible day, and like I said, we have no time.
And by dedicating the full day to it, I'm able to knock off 8 more hours
All right.
from my transcribing. So that brings me down to 52 hours remaining.
Well, there you go. Well, worth it.
Yep. Still over 3 days.
Yeah. So, even though we didn't do anything, mark off another day's worth of food, I guess.
Yeah. By the way, just to add almost insult to injury. So basically, by the time the rain is subsiding, the dome has vanished, and we finished up our research. And it also, I honestly rolled a d10 to see how long the rain was going to last for. And I rolled an 8. So it lasted 8 hours.
All right, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. All right. So basically, by the time we're setting up, gathering some kindling and wood on the only dry spot in really the entire area.
Yeah.
Because we were inside the dome for our evening meal and campfire. The rain stopped, and we're having our evening meal then.
All right. And have the evening meal, and then this. Even though we didn't go anywhere, it's still tiring to do all the research.
And to sit inside a cramped space for 8 hours.
Yeah. Well, I didn't get that other spell, the one with the big castle and all that sort of nonsense.
No. However, as you finish the research on your spell, tomorrow is the first day that you can prepare it now.
Yeah, so I was kind of thinking of that anyway.
Yeah.
So while I snooze, I am going to figure out how I'm going to switch things around.
Yeah.
Because I definitely want to prepare that spell.
All right, so for the evening after we have our supper, I'm going to do my alarm spell, warding the area.
Yep.
You're going to cast the hut again. And then I assume we're going to have our familiars and one of us on watch.
Yep, you're up first.
I'm up first this time. So think about that while I roll for watch.
Yeah, already.
Okay, well that's an 8. So I didn't fall asleep, that's nice.
Yeah.
Does anything happen? All right, let's see. All right, well, that's something's going to happen. All right, I do. Well, I rolled an 8, so unfortunately, I'm not what wakes you up, but I am alerted by my alarm, which then gets me to wake you up.
All right. Yeah, you have a silent alarm, right?
I have it set to silent normally, unless otherwise, yes.
Yeah.
Just because it doesn't alert them.
Yeah.
All right. So something just is passing through the perimeter of my alarm spell. 3 somethings.
3 somethings.
Yeah.
All right. I wake up groggily.
Yeah.
Try and focus my attention. I assume
so it's close to midnight at this time when this is happening.
All right. I look in the direction.
It's dark.
Oh, my owl's out.
Okay.
My owl has night vision.
Roll a perception check with advantage because your owl's keen sight.
Apparently, my owl's kind of groggy too. 9.
You see 3 vaguely humanoid shapes
All right.
moving through the area of the copse of trees that we were on, and they walk right by the hut.
Do I recognize what they are?
You can roll a nature check if you want.
I do not have nature, but I will roll anyway.
It's an intelligence check.
It'll be a 5 for nature.
Total?
I don't have nature.
You have your intelligence modifier added to it.
For nature?
Yeah.
Oh, so then 9.
They're humanoid size but not necessarily of shape as they move by, and it's too dark for you to make it out. I'm going to see if I notice them. Nope. Even with my impressive adding 8 to a nature check, I don't recognize these creatures.
Okay, for people outside, the dome of the hut is opaque.
Yep, they did not notice the hut, it seems.
All right. This seems kind of foolish, but I'm going to do it anyway. I am going to I'm going to just take a coin out of my coin purse.
Yep.
Cast light on it. So none of this is visible outside.
Nope, so there's bright light in here all of a sudden.
Yeah. And then I'm going to chuck the coin at them.
Okay. Right. So you throw the coin.
Yep.
They notice that.
I bet.
So it lands basically in the middle of the 3 of them as they're walking by. They're somewhat hunched over. They're about humanoid height, but they're a bit shorter because of the hunched backs.
Yep.
And they seem to be walking along basically almost, not quite on all 4s, but quite similar, almost as if their limbs are almost... You could basically imagine these creatures running on all 4s if they wanted to move quickly, but aren't doing it at the moment. So they have almost like a simian-like posture.
All right, so just using their front arms as kind of like support.
Yeah. And which goes greatly in contrast to their very bizarre, almost arthropod-like physiology.
Okay.
They have a thick carapace, which you can see, which is of a deep purple, and that point's black as the exoskeleton.
All right.
They have only 3 fingers on their hand. They all end in hooked claws. And they have multiple sets of eyes and mouths which resemble the close-up of a spider.
Arcana check, please.
This does have to be nature, I'm afraid.
Oh, these are not. All right. I will roll. Oh, fortunately, that's a 17. I do not have nature.
Plus your intelligence. Plus your intelligence.
Oh, nature's intelligence. Oh, well, then it's 21.
Sure. I rolled a 12 plus 8 for 20. Both of us are able to recognize these creatures now that we can see them not in the dark.
Yeah.
These are ettercaps, which are kind of like humanoid spiders almost, in a sense. They are nasty creatures who are basically among many of the evil creatures that inhabit the world, and take specific pleasure in 2 things. One of which is killing elves, whom they seem to have a degree of animosity towards.
Yep.
And the other is despoiling any woodland or sylvan areas that they inhabit. Like, they tend to take a great deal of joy in that for some reason.
Okay.
And they seem to be interested in these copse of trees currently. Oh, and the glowing coin that just landed in front of them. They can now obviously see the dome because it's illuminated by the light. They have no clue what it is.
What are they doing? What's the reaction?
They are indecisive. They're seeing the coin, and one of them picks it up and looks at it.
Yeah.
And is just examining it. These creatures aren't terribly intelligent. Yeah, they're less intelligent than the average humanoid.
Sounds pretty dumb then.
Mm-hmm. They're just picking it up and looking at it from several angles. You can see they have multiple sets of eyes, as I said, all over the smaller ones, including the two larger eyes where the humanoid eyes would be. And there are 6 other ones around their face.
Okay.
And one of them is examining that. The other 2 are looking at the dome, and they don't know what to make of it. Because, well.
So at this point, I would not have been able to switch out my spells, so
No.
I have to go with my last selection. I am going to whisper to you. Do we want to kill these things?
Well, from what we know about ettercaps is they are often nocturnal, like lots of spiders are.
Yep.
They build nests and webs, much like most spiders.
Yep.
And they will stay in a region, like a forested region, until they've done whatever damage they wish to it.
All right.
So these things are not likely to go away by the time we wake up in the morning, which means the dome will vanish and we might wake up with these things looking over us. So,
well, that's not something that I really want to have happen.
And you generally do not want to be at the mercy of, well, what amounts to a semi-intelligent large spider.
Yeah. So I know I can cast spells out of this thing. As long as I don't leave, the dome stays solid.
Yep.
So I am going to...
Can you cast spells out of this?
I think I can.
I'm going to just double check that for a second. There it is. Cannot extend through the dome or be cast through it.
No.
So no. The dome.
Yeah, I suppose that would be a bit much. I was kind of hoping it was, though.
So the dome is a barrier to all spells from both inside and out.
But the coin can pass through.
The coin can be enchanted with the light and then be thrown through. Yes, that's fine.
Well, I guess.
Unless you want me to just go out there and deal with them on my own.
No, I think it's time that we I think this is hopefully going to be something surprising for them. I am going to wait until I give it a few moments, and hopefully their attention will be on the coin.
Okay.
And then I'm going to step outside the dome on a signal for it with you, and I'm going to tell you that I'm going to fireball them.
Okay. They are roughly about 15 feet from the dome at this point.
All right.
So once we're stepping backwards out of the dome, away from them, it's going to be close.
Oh, yeah, I want to... Is there any spells you want to prepare before we do this?
1 second. I'm just... it sounds like we are entering combat here.
Well, yeah, we're going to vote.
I'm just going to get the initiative set up for a moment before we roll. Then we'll add that in.
All right.
All right. Are there any spells I want to...
I'm going to cast Mirror Image.
I think so, too. There are 3 of them, so both of us will have Mirror Image going.
Does sound pass through this barrier? Like, are they alerted to our presence now?
I don't think so. I'll double check in a second. I know this is the first time we've actually had to worry about something.
Yeah.
Well, we've been rolling quite well so far, but all right, Liam is tiny head now. It's still choose an object and then don't cast a spell. Freely older. Dylan was a pick outside and it's from inside. It doesn't say anything about sound.
All right,
I'm going
I'll
to
roll
give them a
stealth check.
perception check. Oh, sorry.
I'm gonna try and do it stealthily then when I cast
So
my
we're going to roll a stealth check contested with a perception check by them. All right, I rolled a natural 20.
I have 15.
All right. They don't seem alerted.
All right, at that point, I'm gonna step outside the dome away from them.
All right, so we both step out the dome backwards.
And then at that point, the dome will
vanish.
And as the dome drops,
Yeah, they see us and
I'm going to fireball them.
cast fireball. All right,
that's how I'm opening this up.
They are surprised because they didn't hear us, basically. So this is taking us off guard. Okay. All right, so one rolled a 9
for
dexterity saving throw.
Oh, okay.
One rolled a total of 20, so succeeds, and the other one rolled a natural 20.
Of course.
So one of them, okay. So what's the damage?
29.
29. All right, so one of them takes a heavy blast from that, and half of 29 is 14. So yeah. And one completely gets out of the way. Ironically, the one that picked up the coin and was looking at it is able to jump back just out of the range of the fireball as it blows up. And now we roll for initiative.
What? You weren't going to do anything? Oh, well.
I have a 13.
I have a 7.
Okay, they have a 6.
Oh! All right. You're up first.
I am up first. You were the one who was preparing to do something then and there, so I decided to leave it at that for the moment.
All right.
However, now it is my turn. And I see no reason not to hit them with another area effect spell, so I will not go anywhere because they're within range of Frost Breath. So
Right.
I will cast Frost Breath on them.
Cool.
This could be a very short combat. Okay, so Constitution for them is worse than Dexterity. So one rolled a 7.
Yep.
One rolled an 11. And one rolled an 18. The same one who rolled the natural 20 against your fireball.
One of them's just doing really well.
So one succeeds, and the other two fail. All right. Not natural 20 this time, though. So 3d10 cold damage. Okay. 5, 19 points of cold damage, to be precise.
So one takes 19. Is that the same one that took 29?
Yes.
And the one that took 14 is now taking an additional
19.
Oh, they both failed.
They both failed. It's the one who got the natural 20 who did succeed this time.
All right, so he takes 9.
9 points of damage. Okay. And he is not frozen. One is frozen in ice, and the other is frozen solid. Dead.
Oh. All right.
No, they were not. They were not prepared for that.
This. Yeah. And just to add insult to injury, I'm gonna fireball them again.
You're gonna fireball them again. Okay. So now one of them has disadvantage on the dexterity saving throw because it's frozen. All right. So the one who's frozen rolled a 6.
30 points of damage this time. And actually, finally getting my numbers up.
And the other one rolled a 17. The third one has succeeded on every saving throw so far.
Wow. So he takes 15.
Okay.
And the other one takes 30.
You hear the sound of an deafening explosion as the flame goes, and you hear the sound of ice shattering and sublimating from the intense heat of this. And there are charboiled segments of an ettercap. Sorry, two ettercaps, because one was frozen solid.
Yep.
And in pools of water, and one which is in great pain still standing.
And it's now his turn.
All right. Ettercaps are inherently evil creatures.
Yep.
Its friends are dead. It turns and runs.
Alright. How fast is it?
It is going to move 30 feet for its movement and then dash an extra 30 feet.
Okay.
Just away from us. It's not concerned with anything else besides that.
Alright. So how far away is it when the round begins?
All right, we stepped back outward, so we were 25 feet from them originally, so it's 85 feet from us now.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, we felt the heat from those fireballs, by the way.
Oh, that's okay. It's the middle of the night. A little bit of extra heat would be fine.
All right, so we come to me first. So are we just killing this thing?
That's my plan.
All right, I'll hit it with magic missile, I guess. Best spell I can hit from this range.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's do it at first level. This thing is looking pretty. Based on the damage it took to kill the other ones, this one's looking pretty hurt. All right. 3, 2. I say that, and then I roll under its remaining hit points with 9 points of force damage. They all strike it in the back. It looks like it falls down, but then it keeps going. It's on 1 hit point.
Well, it does kind of kill what I wanted to do. Because dawn is going to be coming, and at dawn, my wand would recharge. So I was just going to empty the wand on him, but there doesn't seem to be any point. I'll just shoot a magic missile at him.
Okay.
And easily finish
And
him.
easily kill it because it has 1 hit point remaining.
Yeah.
Alright. So, a matter of seconds after we exit the dome, the combat has ended.
Yeah, well, it was not a fair fight.
No, it was not.
I don't feel bad about it.
And then the minute expires, and so do our mirror images.
Yep.
All right.
Recast the hut.
You recast the hut.
Yep. Not even bothering to move. It's dark. Midnight. Stumbling around in the dark doesn't sound like fun.
Okay. You recast the hut, and we return to our sleep.
Yep. Which means we're probably not going to get up till about 8 in the morning because we need the long rest to get our spells back.
Yes. So we do get a long rest this time.
Yep.
All right.
And I will rearrange my spells a little bit.
Yep, you can do that.
And
Yeah, my ring is recharged by this point, definitely.
I don't really want to have breakfast with charred ettercap all around, so
Well, not all around, but just in the near distance, yeah.
well, we did kind of explode 2 of them.
Yeah.
Well, I think I would like to hike back to the main road and have breakfast there.
All right, so we hike back to the main road. That takes half an hour.
Yeah.
So we're good and hungry by the time we get there.
Yeah.
Because nothing works quite like an appetite, like a good walk before breakfast.
And then, yeah.
All right. So for this day, please roll a d20.
11.
11. Okay. All right, we have our breakfast.
Yep.
And we look back at the ruined farmstead where we've had a little bit of an adventure. And then we head towards the south, along the south road, I presume.
Yes.
All right.
All right. That was interesting.
That was interesting. So we're on the road for about 2 hours before we see a very interesting sight in the coming up quite quickly in the distance.
Okay. What's that?
Well, there is indeed a bridge, as there is on the map here.
Mm-hmm.
But you might want to move over to the next image for this.
Right. Oh, that's different.
That might be a little too close in. So we're on this side.
This side?
Yes. So we see the bridge, and there are indeed 2 massive gates built into the side of it. Those are doors that are meant to open. You can tell from where as we approach.
Yeah.
And there is basically almost like a line of about half a dozen carts.
On the other side?
Nope.
On this side.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of people there who seem to be in the midst of arguing with 2 relatively large individuals.
And what's the argument about? How much it costs to get across?
Well, from this distance, we can't tell. We're still out of this. We can head towards them if we want.
Is anyone going to get mad as we walk by the queue?
Well, it basically takes us a few minutes to even get to where the queue is.
Yeah. I was going to walk anyway.
Oh, you're going to walk up? Okay.
Well,
They don't seem to care too much because there's not a lot to... So there are indeed half a dozen carts here on this roadblock. Most of which, just looking around, you can tell are probably traveling merchants and their families.
Okay.
There is a group of dwarves at the very back who do stand out compared to the rest of the, admittedly, mostly human families of merchants.
All right.
They're all grumbling, and there's a few of them who are arguing and not quite shouting yet at the 2 individuals who are at the front of this gate.
Okay.
They are 2 ogres.
Okay.
And they are dressed in usual ogre attire, but have slightly better armor, you notice.
Yeah.
And have great clubs. Oh, and there's a sign off to the side of the road, which you think looks a little familiar now that you get a good look at it.
Yeah.
But has been repainted rather crudely.
All right. So they broke the sign off. And what was it repainted to say?
Well, there is a hand with 5 gold coins in it, you think.
Yeah.
And then there's a slash, and then it shows a stick figure version of a person. You think that reads 5 gold per person to pass through this bridge, presumably.
Okay.
And a lot of the merchants are have at least a few of the merchants and a few other members of their family have come up and are basically arguing with the ogres, near as you can tell, presumably wanting passage through.
Yes.
That's all you can hear at the moment. You also see off to the side a lone elf woman who doesn't seem to be... It just seems to be standing off to the side and watching the whole affair.
I'm going to walk over to her. She seems more reasonable.
Okay, so you walk over to the elf.
Yep.
All right, she's dressed in traveling garb, has a green cloak with a hood up,
Yep.
has a longbow and a short sword, so looks like general adventurer gear almost.
Yep.
And she notices you approach, and she's just still mostly just watching this and looking over at the gate, obviously.
Yeah, so I'll take my hat off and say hi and introduce myself. And she introduced herself?
Yeah, she introduced herself as Irene and says that she's just a scout from the Elven lands, which we have heard that are relatively nearby.
Yeah, they're to the west, I say to her.
Yes, southwest of here, yes.
Yeah.
Technically, you can normally get there along this route. She says, but this was not here the last time that anyone really made a pilgrimage this far north.
So, actually, your lands is one of the areas my friend and I. Oh, I say this is Aquans, by the way.
Yes.
We were possibly going to head that way at some point. Right now, we're just heading south towards Lyria.
She understands. She nods in acceptance of that and says, "This could be a bit of a problem, though. If this could be difficult for travelers." She says,
So
She points over towards the. It isn't very clear on this map, but this is not a just a river that's going by and just only a few feet down. This is one of the main tributaries which feeds the canyon that we crossed beforehand. So this
it's
is
like 100 feet down.
this is quite similar to what we passed before a few days ago,
Yeah.
except there's no waterfall here this time. It's just
Okay.
all far down. It's probably 100 feet or more down, and we can hear the water rushing by like rapids. It's not loud, and you have to talk over it, but
Yeah.
it's constant background noise.
All right.
Noise level.
How far across is it?
Across, it is about 60 feet.
All right.
And you can tell that this bridge, which is well put together, because this is still here even after the storm, was probably designed for travel through here normally. The two sets of gates with iron reinforcements and wooden doors look new.
So 2 ogres with some kind of entrepreneurial bent have decided to make this a toll road, and they are charging people to go across.
Yes. Nearest you, and from Arene's listening to it, you can tell yes, it is. They're charging 5 gold to get by. Most of the merchants here are either unable to or unwilling to pay that amount. But this has been going on for a few hours at this point, so they're all
okay. And you are just waiting to see what happens, I assume?
Most elven scouts have a responsibility to look after some of the things in the wilds around here, she says. I'm not going to leave until this issue is at least somewhat resolved. Right. The ogres, very atypical of ogres in general from what you know of them,
Yep.
are being quite civil, despite the fact that they are being shouted at by a bunch of people who are on average 4 feet shorter than they are.
Yeah, they're what, 9 feet tall?
Ogres are usually somewhere between 9 to 10 feet tall, yes. They're comparable in size to trolls.
Well,
and the other thing you know about ogres is they aren't particularly intelligent on average.
Yeah.
And they can be prone to bouts of violence when angered. So we don't seem to be there yet, but you're not sure how far off that can be if this continues.
Yes. Well, you and I can afford to cross here without any difficulty whatsoever to our finances.
Yes, we can. I'm not entirely sure that's going to help everyone else here, and they're not necessarily going to look too kindly on that, probably. But we can very easily pay 10 gold to get across here.
Yes, but the problem is this is an ongoing thing.
Yes.
Because I assume giving them 10 gold isn't going to send them home.
No. Toll roads are not exactly unheard of, and they're not technically, I guess, legal, if that's the word we want to look for. But what is out here in the wilderness?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they built the bridge.
No. But they aren't extorting people like those bandits we ran into earlier.
Yeah.
So.
True enough. All right, I'm going to walk up to which one seems to be the leader ogre.
You have absolutely no idea.
All right, I'm going to walk up to them and say, all right, which of you two are in charge? And
one says me, and then about a second later it says me. And they just look at one another then and say that.
Well, can you figure it out? Because I don't want to spend time repeating myself.
Me, they both say in unison.
God.
Ogres are not very intelligent. They are of comparable intelligence to humanoids, but usually a little lower on the spectrum.
All right.
They're
Okay.
probably more intelligent than the Ettercaps we just fought.
Okay. That dumb, huh? All right, guys. This is the problem. Most of the people that go on this road can't afford 5 gold pieces. Don't you think your toll is a little expensive?
Yes. That was Max. One says, no, not too expensive. One says, yes. Who the other one who seems to be not necessarily in charge, but somewhat more well spoken, says it's not too expensive at all. It says exactly what we were ordered to collect from travelers.
Ordered by whom?
And he points. He points to a badge you see that each of them are now wearing on. You realize are rather large, fastened breastplates.
Okay.
But fashioning one for an ogre is quite expensive and difficult.
Yep.
Requires a lot of metal and smithing skills. And you just see basically a gauntlet clenched into a fist, which is the badge there. Says the general who's in charge of the army.
What army? I see 2 people.
All right, I'm going to see it. The other one says the army, and says yes, exactly the army. And you get the same feeling that you're not getting much more out of them from that. They may not know exactly who they're working for, but from that you can probably tell. Sounds like these two may have been hired by someone who is either claiming to be a general or someone who has an armed force and is just trying to raise funds, possibly.
Hmm.
You do notice that these are well-fashioned doors, and just from what you know of ogres, they aren't necessarily the best smiths and craftsmen.
Yeah. So someone with some craft skills built these and stuck 2 ogres here to extort people out of money.
Okay. You can roll intelligence check if you want. I'm drawing a blank, apparently.
Maybe straight intelligence?
Yes.
19.
19. Okay. We do think back to our previous encounter with a group of humanoid creatures like this who said they were working for an army. Drix and Grieg, the 2 goblins scouts we encountered after we left the plateau. And they did say that they were working for an army. And if you think back, you can think that they probably were wearing a badge that was vaguely similar to that. So it's possibly this is another branch of it. You also notice this is the second time that more monstrous humanoids, at the very least, or in the case giants, have been basically seem to have been conscripted into this army, which is a little unusual for some humanoids, but you never know.
All right, I'm gonna say to the one that looks a little bit more with it. So, well, Drix and Greaves told us that the toll was a lot less than that.
Roll a deception check.
That's where it all falls apart.
And I'll roll intelligence check, I guess. Oh dear. That was probably the one thing that was going to. What did you roll?
6 minus 1, 5.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was wrong earlier. The ogres are less intelligent than the Ettercaps.
Okay.
All right, I had to roll intelligence check. Unfortunately, which resulted in them get even with their -3 modifier to intelligence. Brings it down to a 17 because he rolled a natural 20.
Oh. Never mind.
No, says that's what it is. He says, pointing with his great club at the sign.
Okay.
Says, all of you pay, or none of you go through. Those are our orders.
And
it seems like that might be the end of the negotiations for him at this point, unless you can come up with something a bit better. What do you think?
All right, I'm going to try a different tact. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to turn around, and I am going to try.
There are about 8 individuals dressed as merchants standing behind you now.
Yep.
who are all looking to you and over at me as well, who see the fact that I seem to be traveling with you, and they have the expectant look of that we are about to somehow solve this for them. Now,
I'm gonna turn around so the ogre can't see me, and I'm gonna quietly cast levitate on him.
all right, I'm going to have you roll a sleight of hand check.
Yep. That'll be a 21.
Do you have written down there what the weight limit is?
500, 500 pounds.
Okay. All right, so it's a check. There's a check involved here, right?
He gets a saving throw, yes.
Yeah, saving throw. You remember what saving throw it is? Because we don't use levitate very often.
No.
All right. Well, just to let you know, what'd you roll for the sleight of hand?
21.
Okay. Well, he had a 4 for his perception.
Okay.
So
you're not going to notice me doing this.
no. Levitate. We don't do this very often. So bear with us, everyone. Well, I'll just check that. It's a Constitution saving throw.
Oh, really?
Yes. Okay, yeah. So this is a quite lucky ogre because this doesn't prove anything. This is the second natural 20 I've rolled for him. But also, on another point, if the weight limit is 500 pounds, an ogre weighs more than 500 pounds, so you couldn't lift him with levitate anyway.
No. All right.
So the spell fails, and he looks around and says, "What was that?"
What was
He
what?
didn't see you. He just, that's what he says. He noticed he resisted the spell affecting him.
Yep.
Actually, wait 1 second. I'm just going to see if he's intelligent enough to. No, he's not. He has no idea what happened because your spell, he resisted the spell, but your spell couldn't actually move him in any way at all. So you realize, okay, that didn't work.
Hmm.
The good news is that hasn't escalated anything yet.
Well, I was trying to solve this without, killing ogres. There's no reason to.
No. You could see if try and convince the merchants if they could actually. You could ask them if they can actually pay it. Or
No, that's
Yeah.
not my business.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
you
not
do
going to
know between the gold that we have, you probably can. Well, if it's per person, there's 6 caravans full of probably 6 or 7 people at most. So that's a lot.
Well, the money's not the issue here. The problem is tomorrow, the day after. Yeah, eventually, someone's going to end up getting killed over this.
Yes, and eaten because they're ogres.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I do not have much in the way of peaceful ways of dealing with this.
I do have sleep prepared.
That's not going
Ogres.
to work.
Yeah, they are ogres. They are quite hardy.
Yeah. So short of killing them, there's nothing I can really do.
Well, technically, the 2 of us can just pay and be on our way.
Yes, this could definitely just not be our problem.
Yes. So I'm going to ask if what we're doing at the moment, because there's definitely some very expectant-looking people here who think we're about to solve their problems.
All right, I am going to try one more time to convince them to find a better or different way of making money.
All right, this DC has gone up though because you failed previously, so
yeah,
you have to try something a little different than last time.
Yes. So I'm going to say to the.
Do you have enhanced ability prepared?
I'm going to ask them. Yeah, I do. But first off, I want to ask them
first if you want.
I ask them what their names are, just so I know for future reference, because I ended up being good friends with Drix and Greaves, and I don't really want to, annoy you guys too much here. At least I'll know who you were.
At least you'll know who you were. I'm just gonna roll this to see what's going into this. They don't seem to. All right. The one you've been talking to says Og, and the other one says Gog.
Og and Gog. That's original. All right,
It
Og
says
and Gog.
it says both with 2 G's and 1 O.
Okay.
Apparently, they think that's important.
All right. I'll write that down just so I remember it in the future.
Are these two going to have a future? Is the question.
I said,
So, what do you say to them?
my friend and I here are wizards. And I can summon ferocious creatures that could tear you limb from limb, but I don't want to. I want to negotiate a peaceful end to this. But just to prove to you that I'm not lying to you, I'm going to cast a spell. And I'm not going to have the spell harm you, but I want it as proof that you are in danger. If you do not negotiate a better, fairer price for your passageway.
All right. I'm going to give you the opportunity to cast the spell now before you roll your intimidation check.
All right. So I am going to cast my new spell.
All right.
I'm going to take a gem out, a 100 GP gem.
Yep. This is an expensive spell.
Yeah, just to bug these two guys. I could have paid for everybody and then some with this.
You could have just. Well, no, you couldn't have. There's more people here than that would add up to 100 gold.
Really?
There are 6 caravans with about 6 or 7 people in each.
All right. So I am going to cast Crystal Summons. Let's see what I got.
Yeah. This is his. He's been inspired by all the gems we found.
Yep. I want to make my own.
All right. So you cast the spell.
Yep.
You have to roll to see what we get.
And I rolled a 2.
All right. So tell me what shows up.
A brown bear shows up.
A brown bear made of crystal, which is giving off light. All right. All right. That's roll your intimidation check. I'm going to say with advantage because of what you rolled there.
Let's say
Because what you summoned.
Yep.
Let's see how this goes with advantage, but
a pair of 19s.
-1.
-1.
-1. Okay. So 18 total. I'm going to see if this has frightened them or not.
I'm going to lean against the bear.
It is a contested. Yeah. All right. All right. So this is a wisdom saving throw on their part, and the DC they had to beat was 18 because of what you rolled.
Yep.
Gog rolled a 7.
And Og.
Og rolled a 13. They're both scared because they suddenly see. I mean, it's a brown bear, but they see the fact that it isn't a normal brown bear. And ogres aren't very intelligent or wise on average.
Yep.
And people who tend to lack knowledge and wisdom tend to be a little frightened by the use of magic.
And also the fact that I have to reach up to lean on this thing is brown bears aren't small.
Yeah. Oh, and obviously there's people behind you who are a little taken aback by this. But at the moment, they think you're on their side.
Okay, guys. What is the real price?
All right, so they're both frightened of this. They're not very intelligent. I'm going to see how this goes.
All right.
There's going to be one more roll here, and I'm going to use that as the... They both look at one another. And they start backing away from one another. And you see Og, who apparently is in charge because he's carrying a key to the door, just drops it on the road in front of him. He says, don't hurt us. He says, we joined army to not have to he says to not have to scrounge and scavenge. It says we didn't join army to have to fight magical bears. There's now a key, which you presume is to the doors.
Yep.
There.
I say, okay. I dismiss the bear.
Okay, the bear goes away.
Pick up the key.
Uh,
Yeah.
You dismiss the bear. I'm going to see if this changes things.
All right.
Gog is similarly still just waiting to see. Og seems to have looked at this and is thinking, there's no longer you can see the thought cross his mind. The bear is gone.
Bear can come back.
He hasn't done anything yet, but he is no longer frightened.
All right. So I'm gonna pick up the key.
Yep.
I'm gonna walk over to Og. Og is the one that's not frightened anymore.
Og is the one who has calmed down, yes.
Og, you seem like a bright lad.
By comparison. All things being relative.
Sure. What do you get paid in this army?
Yes.
Yeah, what do you get paid?
Get paid in food, drink, there's metal coat, there's weapons, occasionally shiny trinkets.
So
you get a distinct feeling that these people have probably had the price explained to them and not explained to them that 5 gold is a lot of money. They are hired muscle for all intents and purposes. They are not hired to think things through.
So if I were to give you some money to become a deserter for this army, what would it cost me?
They both look at one another and they point to the sign with the 5 gold on it.
So if I pay you 5 gold each, you'll just run away and find a better life.
Yeah, they both say yes.
All right. I pull out 10 gold pieces and give them 5 each.
Okay.
Walk over to the door.
They put them in basically a pouch they have.
Yep.
Other side.
Unlock the door. Open the gates.
Yep. The doors swing open. You can see the arched bridge across, and there's another gate on the other side.
And I said, all right, guys. No more toll.
Okay, so assuming you're going to open that door too.
I'm going to walk across the bridge with you and open the other door.
Yep.
And what are Og and Gog doing? Wandered off by now, hopefully?
No, they're still standing here at the moment. They seem to be watching this, and they're looking at the gold in their head. They seem to be deep in thought for ogres.
All right. Is the wagon train leaving?
Well, as you open the other door, yes, they get the caravan. Everyone gets situated back in their caravan carts.
Yep.
And all 6 start moving through. You have some thanks given to you as they go by.
5 gold. Each. No.
You do not say that, I assume?
No.
Okay. So all 6 caravans go by.
All right.
Irene, the elf scout, does not seem to come through.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to go back and talk to her for a minute. I want to see what she has to say.
All right. Og and Gog then follow through afterwards. Apparently, they seem to just be wandering off, but are going down the road this way.
All right.
And before just heading off into the woods a little bit.
Okay. So
what
the problem is solved, Irene?
You're going over to talk to Irene, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Problem seems to be solved.
Yeah. Once you head over to where she was standing, she's not standing there anymore.
She's gone.
You can make a perception check if you want. At disadvantage, I'm afraid.
Oh. Should have kept that roll anyway.
So this is at disadvantage.
Yeah. Perception. Be a 10. Well, I'm familiar with elven cloaks, so I assume she just doesn't want to be found. And I say, well, Irene, I know you're here somewhere. The problem seems to be solved. We're heading south.
Yeah. You don't see her.
Oh, I know. And I said, this is the key. just in case someone comes back and causes problems, I leave it on a rock. And
Okay.
we head south.
All right, we head south, going through.
As we go past the bridge, I'm gonna have my owl on my shoulder, look behind. Is the key gone?
Make a perception check for your owl, which is a straight roll because of the disadvantage.
It's a key.
Yeah,
No.
you still have disadvantage. Oh, that's what I'm afraid.
For a key.
But disadvantage and advantage cancel out.
Never mind. 6.
No, you do not. You see the key is gone, but you do not see anything else. The key is gone.
That's all I wanted to know.
Yeah.
I didn't expect to see her. I was just thinking that maybe she picked up the key. That's all.
All right, so we continue along the south road as we pass through that day, and this is where we're going to take our break.